Greetings everyone. It is time for yet another video. This one should be shorter than the rest of mine, but I'd like to do a breakdown of everything we see in the little teaser known, the Final Destination teaser specifically, we've gotten for Murder Drones. Though, as everyone knows, there's been a lot of those lately. I haven't actually been watching any because I prefer to focus on my own. But it is very integral, containing numerous glimpses into Episode 7 and potentially Episode 8. So, without any delay, let's get started. One of the first and most obviously notable things, in my opinion, was at the start. It's shown a dead sentinel in the background, or I guess really the bottom right of the screen, as well as showing a bunch of oil on the ground with nothing else. And notably, it takes place in the exact same hallway that the end of Episode 6 took place in, leading to the obvious conclusion that V survived. I personally doubt she actually managed to kill them all herself, especially given that the entire scene was framed to be a sacrifice, but whatever. Most likely she either went eldritch after being basically eaten, or Jay showed up and saved her. As for which one, I don't know, we'll see. Shortly after, in the trailer, we see small locker-like things in the wall with the names of certain characters. To me, this seems to be the torture chambers that have been described in Episode 4 by the key bug, where it's shown that certain characters do have those in the line of dialogue where it talks about a complaint about the torture chambers. On top of this, it has been hard confirmed that the explosion did indeed come from Cabin Fever Labs, and that Nori did indeed cause the Copper 9 explosion. Who would have guessed? I was right all along. Now everyone, this is why you subscribe. Anyway, of course, we see new flashes of things like that across the series, but seriously, people doubt me too much. The Copper 9 explosion has been confirmed because now they've shown a bunch of computers saying core collapse in one area right around a giant hole, which is basically telling us that that hole is where the core collapse originated from. And then they show the hole, and it's covered in a bunch of fleshy organic matter with stuff like teeth in it, and through it a bunch of black absolute sulfur tendrils just stretched out of the earth, or out of it, Copper 9. It was crazy. Oh. Anyway, after that, there was a bunch of flashes to different characters, such as us seeing a flashback of humans on Copper 9 in the cathedral under Cabin Fever Labs, and how we see a demonic hand reaching out towards them. We also see things like Uzi with a wounded eye, which implies that Doll did it because she's shown slightly later. And we see that Doll, actually, before I move on to that, I just want to mention that there is actually a parallel there, which makes me even more certain that it's Doll. Both Uzi's mother and Doll's mother, both came from Cabin Fever Labs and experienced something similar. Nori was using her absolute solver perfectly, while Yeva was shown on the ground bleeding out of her eye, specifically the one with the solver symbol, because she was using it. Doll's eye, despite Doll being the one with the defective solver, the one that did that damage. It's a good callback because originally it was Doll's mother bleeding from the eye. Now that Doll and Uzi are both there, it's Uzi whose eye is bleeding while Doll is fine. It's clever. We also see a small glimpse of two background characters that look suspiciously like Lizzie and Thad. I don't even want to guess how they ended up there, but whatever. It's about time that Thad fans stop complaining. And personally, Lizzie is one of my favorite characters, just because of that, mainly because of that one joke they made about Lizzie's and about Doll's mother being dead. That scene was just hilarious. But we also see cuts to Anne with concerningly saddened look, showing that he is not taking everything well. Though, as I've suggested a million times prior, it does look like I was right in that he's not going to snap. Which is good because, frankly, no one wants to take the edgy route, okay? We do not need Anne to fully snap. That's just not good for his character arc at all. It does not fit with what's established. Unless we go the complete tragedy route, like some AUs do. Anyway, we also see a flash of the absolute solver holding a little cross. We, of course, see a bit more of a cathedral that I can't really remember right now. We see someone unknown being kind of chained up and horribly damaged at the top. We don't know who it is, but they're almost certainly dead, just hanging in the air of a church or cathedral thing. We've seen Tessa staring at Uzi, and Uzi staring back in a close area, with Tessa pulling out her sword, implying that, as everyone who had common sense would suggest, it implies that Anne is not going to be trying to kill Uzi after all, and that Tessa decides to do it herself. Which, let's be real, Tessa does not have much of a chance, but it will be interesting. If I was wrong in my theory that Tessa actually lost her arm and had it eaten by Sin, but got a replacement with a prosthetic, then I'm almost certain she'll lose an arm now. After all, there's been so much arm imagery surrounding her, and we do see Anne with the X over his eyes, which he usually does whenever he's actually getting serious, whenever he's actually going for the kill. Which, granted, it is also likely that this is a flashback thing, because we already know we're getting a Nori and Yeva flashback. But at the same time, I can't really think of how it would really fit in with that. After all, the flashback is suggested to be in Cabin Fever Labs, which wouldn't work out, really, given that Nori dies far after escaping cabin fever labs. Anyway, overall, there is a lot to unpack in the episode that we'll learn about later. But for now, we do see quite a bit in this trailer, and it's already a very intricate little thing. Due to the existence of this cathedral, we know that the Solver is definitely going to take a farther role than it even has. We've all known for a while that the Absolute Solver is a reality warping AI program, and that it's basically Robo-Satan AI magic, but they're definitely taking the biblical parallels even further, and it's 100% at this point no longer a joke, and is getting serious, because why else have an entire cathedral with it? You know what I mean? Also, of course, we've learned from merchandise that Jay is going to be showing up in the episode again, because why else would they start selling a Jay plushie unless she's going to be relevant and have some time to shine? We've seen an acrylic about Uzi being the host of a Solver, which, let's be honest, everyone knew with the whole admin system. And I guess this is where we'll see if the acrylic's really do mean the character dies, which I'd say is already debunked, given the common sense fact that they literally tease that V is most likely alive with this teaser. But hey, people on Reddit still see fit to argue, so whatever. We'll see who's right in the end. Anyway, overall, there's much in the series that we can look forward to, and this trailer is absolutely filled with different things. We also see in the little Final Destination teaser, which I haven't mentioned this yet, but we actually, somewhere towards the end, we see a scene that we have had teased before, but in this case, we got a little more context. It's the scene where Uzi breaks Ann's hand. I guess we don't really have much context, but we see the scene before it a little bit, and we see the rest of the episode so we can slightly put details together. I think the trailer ends with this scene, but we actually do get to see the scene in it where Uzi breaks Ann's hand, so it's most likely going to be an incredible, giant deal in the series. Anyway, sorry if you hear people in the background, that happens every time, but I think it goes without saying that this trailer is a sign that this episode will absolutely destroy the community. It'll cause a meltdown, because it is getting insane. I think I'll end the video here. If I remember a frame or something that I haven't explained yet, then I'll return to finish this video.